And the verse is this. It says, "Today was Angie's birthday, and it must have slipped your mind. I tried twice to call you, with no answer either time."
When you think of country music, Dwight Yoakam's name might come to mind. He's a legend in the industry, known for his unique blend of honky tonk and rockabilly. But despite his fame and success, there's still a lot about Dwight Yoakam's life that remains a mystery. From his sudden rise to fame to his puzzling disappearance from the spotlight, his story is filled with twists and turns that have left fans scratching their heads. Join us as we explore the tragic details of Dwight Yoakam's life and try to uncover the truth behind his mysterious past. Dwight Yoakam experienced so many highs and lows in his career. Early life of Dwight Yoakam. Dwight David Yoakam, born on October 23, 1956 in Pikeville, Kentucky, is the firstborn among three offspring of David Yoakam and Ruth Ann Tibbs Yoakam. David Yoakam was serving in the United States Army around the time of Dwight Yoakam's birth. Once discharged, the Yoakam family resettled in Columbus, Ohio, where they welcomed two more children, Ronald and Kimberly. During this time, David Yoakam earned a living employed at a Westinghouse Electric Corporation plant, and later as the proprietor of a Texaco gas station. Dwight Yoakam's musical passion was ignited by his father, who bestowed upon him a guitar from the Kay Musical Instrument Company when he could not play it. Despite breaking this guitar, Yoakam received a new one as a Christmas present in the 4th grade, which spurred him to compose his first melody around that period. Throughout his childhood, Yoakam drew inspiration from the music played on his parents' records and on WMNI, an AM country music radio station in Columbus, which featured pieces by Johnny Cash and Johnny Horton. Singing tunes while traveling with his maternal grandparents on family trips was a tradition shared by his mother. Yoakam also recognized the impact of witnessing TV appearances by rock and roll icons such as Elvis Presley on shaping his musical inclinations. In 1968, the Yoakam family relocated to a different area in Columbus, where Yoakam enrolled at Northland High School. His mother encouraged all her children, inclusive of Dwight, to join the school's band, where he played the drums. Furthermore, Yoakam participated in drama classes at Northland High School and portrayed the character Charlie in a production of Flowers for Algernon, an experience he credited with enhancing his confidence on stage. During his final year in high school, Yoakam and several peers formed a rock and roll group to participate in the school's talent exhibition. The group, known as the Greaser Band, gained popularity and embarked on performing at various private functions in Columbus. Despite briefly attending Ohio State University, Yoakam promptly withdrew to focus on his musical aspirations. While engaged in a performance at a club in Gahanna, Ohio, Yoakam was propositioned by an individual offering a music contract, which later proved to be deceitful. Nevertheless, Yoakam decided to relocate to Nashville, Tennessee to pursue a career in country music. He faced obstacles in the Nashville music sphere as his musical style was more aligned with honky-tonk and bluegrass genres, which were less popular in comparison to country pop and the Nashville sound. Upon relocating to Los Angeles, California, following the encouragement of Billy Alves, a former member of the Greaser Band, Yoakam encountered guitarist and record producer Pete Anderson at a Los Angeles bar in 1982. Their mutual admiration for musicians like Merle Haggard formed a connection between the two individuals. Anderson remarked on the rise of cowpunk and alternative country music in California, singling out acts such as Joe Ely, Rank and File, and Lone Justice. By frequenting venues where these artists performed, Yoakam broadened his audience and visibility. This experience led him to an unexpected turn of events. Musical career. Dwight moved to Nashville and spent years performing in sessions. Despite eventually getting a major opportunity, Dwight Yoakam went against the grain, leading the music industry to hold a grudge against him. Dwight's initial encounters showed him that Nashville was full of deception. It was originally thought that he had traveled from Ohio to Nashville in pursuit of a record deal, but that was not the case. He opted to head to Los Angeles instead, a city where punk and country music had a better chance of coexisting compared to the corporate music world. Instead of focusing on creating popular ballads, Dwight chose to release a series of authentic, gritty, honky-tonk songs. By 1984, Yoakam had penned a plethora of tunes. Anderson then motivated him to record some of them on an extended play. He also took on the roles of producer and lead guitarist for the project, positions he would continue to hold for most of Yoakam's career. The EP was titled Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc., and was put out by the Oak Records label. It featured 5 original compositions by Yoakam, along with a rendition of Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire. The songs from the EP received playtime on independent radio stations across Los Angeles. Later that year, Yoakam was selected as an opening act for the Blasters. This led to him being noticed by Reprise Records executive Paige Levy, who assisted Yoakam in securing a contract with the label in 1986. Reprise re-released Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc. that year with 4 additional tracks, marking his debut album. One of the new tracks was Bury Me, a duet with Maria McKee. The album's first single was a cover of Johnny Horton's 1956 hit, Honky Tonk Man. Yoakam's version of the song reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart in the summer of 1986. The song was even more successful in Canada, where it reached the top spot on the country music charts published by RPM. The music video for Honky Tonk Man was also noteworthy, as in 1986, it became the first by a country artist to be aired on MTV. The album rose to the top spot on the Billboard Top Country Albums chart. Yoakam penned 2 more singles, Guitars, Cadillacs, and It Won't Hurt, both of which achieved success on the Hot Country Songs chart. 13 years later, Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc., earned a double platinum certification from the RIAA for selling 2 million copies in the U.S. The album received Grammy nominations for Best Male Country Vocal Performance and Best Country Song, while Yoakam himself was nominated for the Horizon Award by the CMA. Additionally, Honky Tonk Man was nominated for Music Video of the Year. Yoakam also took home the award for Top New Male Vocalist at the ACM Awards in 1986. Yoakam released his second album, Hillbilly Deluxe, under Reprise in 1987. The album started with a cover of Elvis Presley's Little Sister. Following this were original songs Little Ways and Please, Please Baby, and a cover of Lefty Frizzell's Always Late with Your Kisses. All 4 tracks achieved top 10 positions on the country music charts from 1987 to early 1988. Little Ways even reached number 1 on the Canadian RPM country chart. Another cover on the album was Stonewall Jackson's Smoke Along the Track. One of the tracks, Readin', Writin', Rit 23, was an autobiographical piece Yoakam wrote about U.S. Route 23 in Kentucky, near his grandparents' homes. Hillbilly Deluxe received platinum certification, indicating 1 million copies were shipped, and earned Yoakam a Grammy Award nomination for Best Male Country Vocal Performance. The album also topped the Top Country Albums chart. In 1988, Yoakam released his 3rd Reprise album titled Buenas Noches from a Lonely Room. This album marked his 3rd and final time reaching the top spot on the Billboard Country Albums chart. The first 2 singles from the album, a cover of Buck Owens' Streets of Bakersfield, featuring Owens himself, and I Sang Dixie, both reached number 1 on Hot Country Songs in 1988. Before recording Streets of Bakersfield, Yoakam persuaded the retired Owens to perform the song on a television special for CBS, leading Owens to come out of retirement and rejoin Capitol Records later on. The 3rd single, I Got You, reached number 5 on the country charts, while the album's title track did not make it to the top 40. Buenas Noches from a Lonely Room also included covers of Hank Laughlin's Send Me the Pillow You Dream On and Johnny Cash's Home of the Blues, and featured Maria McKee on backing vocals and Tejano accordionist Flaco Jimenez. Critics noted that the album showed Yoakam starting to expand his sound and becoming more comfortable with his distinct honky-tonk style. The album and Streets of Bakersfield were both Grammy-nominated, with the latter also receiving a CMA nomination. Yoakam completed the 1980s by releasing his initial collection of greatest hits, titled Just Lookin' for a Hit. This compilation included 8 previously released singles and 2 newly recorded covers of songs by The Blasters, Long White Cadillac, and the Flying Burrito Brothers, Sin City. Yoakam teamed up with K.D. Lang for the duet version of Sin City. The single Long White Cadillac peaked at number 35 on the country music charts. The cover of Sin City earned a Grammy nomination for Best Country Vocal Collaboration. Not only did he get a Grammy nomination, his career propelled him to greater heights. Experiencing stardom. For his upcoming album in 1993 titled This Time, Yoakam penned songs either independently or in partnership with Costas. The exception was the first single, Ain't That Lonely Yet, which Costas co-wrote with James House. This track reached number 2 on the Billboard country charts, topped the American radio and records country music charts, and dominated the Canadian RPM country charts. This achievement earned Yoakam his first Grammy Award for Best Male Country Vocal Performance in 1993. This time also featured 4 more singles released between 1993 and 1994. 1,000 Miles from Nowhere and Fast as You both reached number 2 on the charts, with the latter becoming Yoakam's debut on the Billboard Hot 100, reaching a peak of 70. Following these were Try Not to Look So Pretty and Pocket of a Clown, which had less success on the charts. The album marked a departure from previous records. As Anderson stated, they removed all boundaries, while Yoakam explained that he felt his previous musical statements were complete, and it was time for his music to evolve. He highlighted the track Home for Sale as an example of this progression, describing it as a stone country song featuring a Hammond organ, an uncommon instrument in country music. Critics noted doo-wop influences in Pocket of a Clown and Roy Orbison influences in Ain't That Lonely Yet. The This Time tour commenced in July 1994, a 75-city tour that included Alison Krauss and Union Station as the opening act. The Country Music Association recognized Ain't That Lonely Yet with a nomination for Single of the Year in 1993, and Yoakam himself received a nomination for Male Vocalist of the Year in 1994. The album reached triple platinum certification in 1996, the highest of Yoakam's career. Yoakam put out 2 albums in 1995. The first one was Dwight Live, a live recording from July 1994 in San Francisco. According to Stephen Thomas Erlewine, the songs on this album didn't surpass the original version. On the other hand, Tony Sherman from Entertainment Weekly praised the album's well-paced delivery and highlighted Yoakam's vocal abilities. The album went gold in 1996. His second release that year was the studio album Gone. Yoakam was the sole songwriter for the whole album, with a few collaborations with Costas. Backing vocalists included Carl Jackson, Jim Lauderdale, Joy Lynn White, and the Rembrandts. Nothing, a collaboration with Costas, was the lead single and reached number 20 on the Hot Country Songs chart in 1995. The B-side songs Gone, That'll Be Me, and Sorry You Asked were also released as singles, but failed to crack the top 40. Critics noted a mix of influences in individual tracks, such as rhythm and blues, mariachi, Tejano music, and psychedelic rock. Jeffrey B. Rems from Country Standard Time observed that Gone was well received critically, but didn't achieve commercial success due to limited airplay and low attendance at some tour stops. Yoakam's following release for Reprise was Under the Covers in 1997, an album containing cover songs exclusively. Yoakam and Anderson commenced recording songs for this project before Gone, while other selections had previously appeared on La Croix d'Amour. The album featured only one single, a rendition of the Everly Brothers' Claudette. Bluegrass artist Ralph Stanley played banjo on a cover of The Clash's Train in Vain, and Sheryl Crow provided duet vocals on a cover of Sonny and Cher's Baby Don't Go. Yoakam described the album as having significant potential, stating, While this set is not flawless, it remains admirable and deserves multiple listens to fully appreciate Yoakam's ambitious approach. Rems praised the covers of Glenn Campbell's Wichita Lineman and Train in Vain specifically, but expressed disapproval of the cover of the Beatles' Things We Said Today. Following this release was an album of Christmas music titled Come On Christmas, issued later in the same year. Yoakam contributed to the album by composing the title track and Santa Can't Stay, while the majority of the album comprised traditional Christmas songs like Away in a Manger and Silver Bells. Tom Owens from AllMusic commented that the album contained lively, entertaining country rock songs that may not introduce anything new to Yoakam's discography, but make for an enjoyable holiday record. Between 1995 and 1997, Yoakam garnered 3 consecutive Grammy nominations in the category of Best Male Country Vocal Performance. The songs nominated during this period were Pocket of a Clown, 1,000 Miles from Nowhere, and Nothing. Additionally, he received 3 consecutive nominations for Best Country Album from 1996 to 1998, with the nominations bestowed upon Dwight Live, Gone, and Under the Covers. Following these nominations, Yoakam released his next studio album of original material, A Long Way Home, in 1998. For this album, Yoakam assumed sole responsibility for the songwriting, marking the first time he did not collaborate with co-writers or include cover songs. The album produced 2 singles, Things Change and These Arms. Notably, Ralph Stanley contributed as a duet partner on Traveler's Lantern. Reviewer Brian Steinberg from Country Standard Time described the album as a return to Yoakam's roots and noted that while it may not be groundbreaking, it offers enough quality to capture attention. In the same year, Yoakam supported a charitable cause by funding a compilation album on Little Dog Records, a label owned by his then producer and guitarist Pete Anderson. Titled We'll Sing for Food, the album featured various artists interpreting Yoakam's songs. Notable contributors included Sarah Evans, Mandy Barnett, Kim Ritchie, Gillian Welch, and David Ball. In a dual assessment, Nash compared the 2 albums, praising A Long Way Home for its modern take on Yoakam's signature sound, while commending We'll Sing for Food for its creative interpretations. Steinberg, on the other hand, gave a mixed review of the latter, highlighting standout performances by Bonnie Bramlett and Scott Joss, while critiquing some tracks for sounding too similar to Yoakam's original compositions. In 1998, A Tribute to Tradition, a collective tribute album honoring 1960s and 1970s country music, was released by Columbia Records. Among the artists featured on the album's final track, Same Old Train, was Yoakam, the song being an original piece by Marty Stewart. This track also showcased a total of 12 country musicians, such as Earl Scruggs, Merle Haggard, Clint Black, and Randy Travis. It achieved a 5-week chart presence on Hot Country Songs towards the end of 1998. The composition garnered the Grammy Award for Best Country Collaboration with Vocals at the 41st Annual Grammy Awards, marking Yoakam's 2nd win from this prestigious institution. Additionally, it received a nomination for CMA Vocal Event of the Year. Yoakam concluded the decade by releasing his 2nd compilation album entitled Last Chance for 1,000 Years, Dwight Yoakam's greatest hits from the 90s. This collection featured songs from his 1990s reprise albums, as well as 3 new tracks. At some point in his career, Dwight vanished, making people wonder where he went. However, Dwight switched his focus to something else. Acting career. It seems that every actor dreams of becoming a musician, and vice versa. While some individuals have successfully made the transition, many others have not. Could Dwight have succeeded in Hollywood? To begin with, Dwight Yoakam has taken on various acting roles in both movies and TV shows. He made his debut with a recurring role in the CBS crime drama P.S. I Love You in 1991. He also had a part in the 1993 film Red Rock West. In 1994, Yoakam played rancher Mac Brazel in the TV movie Roswell. Actor-director Billy Bob Thornton cast Yoakam as Doyle Hargraves in the 1996 movie Sling Blade. Yoakam mentioned in 2016 that he believed Sling Blade would make a lasting impact on his acting career. Yoakam and the movie's cast were nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award in 1997. He appeared in Richard Linklater's film The Newton Boys in 1998 and wrote most of the songs for his album A Long Way Home while shooting the movie in Austin, Texas. In 1999, Yoakam starred in the thriller The Minus Man alongside Sheryl Crow. A year later, he co-wrote, directed, and starred in the Western film South of Heaven, West of Hell, which also featured a soundtrack with the same name. Unfortunately, the movie was a financial flop, leading to crew members filing claims against Yoakam in small claims court. Additionally, Yoakam dismissed Pete Anderson from his touring band in 2002 to try and offset the losses from the unsuccessful film. While Zach Johnson praised the individual songs on the soundtrack, he criticized its inclusion of film dialogue snippets between tracks. In 2002, Yoakam appeared in the movie Panic Room, directed by David Fincher. He noted before the film's release that he saw acting and recording music as similar because both required repetitive performances. Musical influences. Yoakam's musical style is characterized by a diverse range of influences from both within and outside the country music genre. Specifically, these influences encompass rockabilly, honky tonk, neo-traditional country, Bakersfield sound, and country rock. In the Virgin Encyclopedia of Country Music, Colin Larkin observed that Yoakam's music reflects elements of honky-tonk country music popularized by artists like Buck Owens and Lefty Frizzle, along with a clear aversion to the more mainstream Nashville pop/country scene. According to Stephen Thomas Erlewine of AllMusic, Yoakam's music is characterized by a back-to-basics approach to traditional honky-tonk and Bakersfield country, contributing to a revival of country music's roots in the late 1980s. Erlewine also noted that Yoakam attracted a fan base with an appreciation for roots rock and roll. Additionally, Tom Urek of AllMusic highlighted the significance of Pete Anderson's electric guitar work in shaping Yoakam's sound, drawing parallels to Don Rich of Buck Owens's backing band, the Buckaroos. Furthermore, Urek pointed out that Yoakam's use of electric guitar and Hammond organ prominently showcases his rock influences. Yoakam characterizes his unique approach to songwriting as fragmented. According to his interview with Al Caudell from American Songwriter, Yoakam typically begins the songwriting process by creating a melody and then determining the desired emotional tone. He explained that he then formulates a central theme or concept for the song. Rather than composing in a straightforward chronological manner, Yoakam prefers a nonlinear approach, as he believes that writing a song in one sitting would lead to creative exhaustion. Furthermore, Yoakam attributed his childhood memories as a significant influence on his songwriting style, particularly stemming from the bluegrass music genre he grew up listening to. He expressed to American Songwriter his appreciation for the contrasting elements within bluegrass music, highlighting the juxtaposition of uplifting melodies and tempo with poignant and sorrowful lyrics. Cindy Hulsell from The Gavin Report observed Dwight Yoakam's ability to attract audiences beyond the realm of traditional country music. In 1993, she noted that his records resonated with a wide range of listeners, from middle-aged Stonewall Jackson fans to young punk rock enthusiasts who had witnessed Yoakam's performances in Los Angeles, where he opened for acts like Los Lobos and the Violent Femmes. The Los Angeles Times' Richard Cromelin described Yoakam as projecting a musical image of a brooding and intensely private individual, propelled by a restless ambition and an edgy intellectuality more commonly associated with rock stars. Yoakam himself acknowledged the power of musical expression in forging connections, emphasizing that it was an early realization for him. Additionally, he shared with the Gavin Report in 1993 that his nature tended towards a highly analytical approach. But when it came to songwriting, he had to transcend that tendency and leave his work in a more emotive space. Al Caudell from American Songwriter labeled Yoakam as a forthright advocate of pure honky-tonk music. In the early stages of his career, Yoakam faced backlash from the Nashville music scene due to his vocal criticism of the genre, such as calling out Columbia Records for dropping Johnny Cash and MTV for neglecting to air country music videos. Reflecting on these criticisms, Yoakam later admitted that he realized his strong opinions about the industry were not conducive to his artistic goals, prompting him to refocus his energy solely on his creative endeavors. Yoakam's stage persona is characterized by his distinctive attire. According to Colin Larkin in the Virgin Encyclopedia of Country Music, Yoakam, like Don Williams and others, upholds the traditional Stetson hat. Alana Nash, in a review of If There Was a Way, commented on Yoakam's initial emergence in the music scene with a retro and hip attitude, concha-studded jeans, and music that bordered on rock and roll, raising doubts about the authenticity of the California cowboy. However, Nash concludes that the authenticity of Yoakam's persona became evident with the release of his third album, Buenas Noches from a Lonely Room, featuring a collection of songs that reflect a classic murder tale resonating with themes of pride, heartbreak, betrayal, and vengeance commonly found in hillbilly folklore. Al Caudell of American Songwriter observed that Yoakam often sported distressed or ripped jeans. Meanwhile, Daryl Smyers of the Dallas Observer described Yoakam's fashion style as resembling that of the Flying Burrito Brothers, complete with an unusually large hat. Despite his unconventional appearance, Yoakam garnered a diverse fan base comprising punks, rockabilly enthusiasts, and dedicated honky-tonk music followers. Leonard, running from the Rapid City Journal, characterized Yoakam's vocal style as having a plaintive, yodel-edged voice. An anonymous review in No Depression magazine noted that Yoakam's voice is both pure and sweet, yet precise, with occasional moments of emotional depth, as heard on the track Try Not to Look So Pretty. J.D. Considine of the Baltimore Sun described Yoakam's singing voice as a high, lonesome twang and a sweetly nasal tenor. The editors of the Encyclopedia of Country Music praised Yoakam's twangy tenor as captivating for country radio audiences. They noted Yoakam's ability to cross over into mainstream country music, suggesting that his music resonated more with audiences than his contemporaries like Lyle Lovett and Steve Earle, as mainstream country audiences were more receptive to distorted guitars than ironic lyrics. Despite being so popular and very handsome, he wasn't so lucky in his relationships. Relationships. Making a connection between our beloved musicians and the music they put out is easy, but it overlooks the fact that these artists lead real lives off stage. Dwight not only faced rejection from Nashville and Hollywood, but also had personal challenges to overcome. In essence, he found himself torn between two contrasting worlds, deemed to country for Hollywood and to rock and roll for Nashville. Did this possibly lead to his romantic issues? Let's find out. Sharon Stone, famous for her performances in Total Recall and Basic Instinct, brought immense happiness to many. Therefore, it came as a surprise when she was seen with Dwight Yoakam at the 1992 Academy Awards, who was not in the entertainment industry. He sported the classic cowboy hat. Despite Dwight's recent Grammy win, indicating a different level of fame, the outcome was not ideal. Sharon reportedly compared kissing him to eating a dirt sandwich after only a short time of dating. Due to his past experiences, Dwight realized that swimming with the sharks was not a wise choice. Following that, he entered into a romantic relationship with Karen Duffy, acclaimed for her role in Dumb and Dumber. Their partnership lasted for 2 years, yet it eventually came to an end. Dwight then decided to stick to his comfort zone, which revolved around country music. His brief girlfriend was Winona Judd, a country singer who reportedly expressed interest in him by saying, "If you see that man in the cowboy hat, he's mine." Despite Dwight's band opening for Winona during their nationwide tour, the couple struggled to find a stable place to nurture a genuine romantic connection. After what felt like an endless amount of time, Dwight finally had a stroke of good luck. Fans were surprised recently to find out that Dwight had gotten married to a model or a celebrity. Emily Joyce, a regular and unexceptional young woman as far as dating famous stars goes, seems to be someone Dwight has found a connection with. The only thing we know about Emily is that she works as a photographer. They probably both wished people knew more about her. The two people in love had been in a relationship since 2010, but kept it hidden for the entire decade. In 2020, they decided they were tired of waiting and chose to tie the knot. However, there was a small problem. With lockdown restrictions, only 10 people could attend. However, I doubt Dwight's worry was real. He might have wanted it that way, and shortly after their wedding, they revealed they were expecting a son named Dalton. Beyond his relationships, he had some legal issues. In 2004, Pete Anderson, a longtime producer and guitarist, brought a legal case against him, accusing him of breaching an oral agreement by not fulfilling several concert dates in the middle of 2002. The lawsuit alleged that Yoakam's failure to perform at these shows led to Anderson losing more than $44,000 in earnings. Yoakam and Anderson resolved the legal dispute outside of court, with Yoakam explaining that financial problems arising from these concerts were compounded by the underperformance of South of Heaven and West of Hell. This monetary conflict also signaled the end of their musical collaboration, as Anderson mentioned that Yoakam no longer wanted to work with him. Despite his appreciation for Yoakam's artistic abilities, Anderson declared in a 2011 interview with Style Weekly that he had no plans to collaborate with him again. In 2021, Yoakam took legal action against Warner Music after they removed some of his songs from streaming platforms because their contract had expired. He argued that the label was preventing him from reclaiming the copyright to his songs. The conflict was settled in February 2022, and the songs were once again available on streaming services shortly after. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.